also up 12% today. Yahoo did an about-face and decided not to spin off its $30 billion stake in Chinese e-commerce giant Alibaba. That's because it faced a $10 billion capital gains tax bill. Instead, it'll create a separate company to hold its signature search engine, internet assets, and apps. And Airbnb, the short-term home rental company, topping Glassdoor's list of the best companies to work for. I'm Tom Busby, CNBC Radio.
Colonel Sanders here with another important holiday message from KFC. This year, don't get the one you love some lame, boring gift like jewelry or toys or a new car or any other junk. No, get that special someone what they really want. Exactly. A KFC $5 fill-up with 100% white meat, popcorn, chicken, mashed potatoes and gravy, a biscuit, a cookie, and a drink. It is the perfect gift for that important person in your life who gets hungry right around lunchtime. Kentucky Fried Chicken, it's finger-licking good.
Available for limited time only. Pricing and participation may vary. Tax extra.
There are no guarantees in love, but there is a guarantee from EH Plus by eHarmony, our new personal matchmaking service. At EH Plus, your own personal matchmaker gets to know you so well, we can guarantee introductions that will be satisfying and exciting. EH Plus goes far beyond regular online dating sites, and that's a guarantee. Visit us at ehplus.com/love or call 1-855-930-LOVE.
BuySellMakeOffer.com is our New Year's gift to you. Circle this date, Friday, January 15th. You're invited to start the new year off right with a subscription to BuySellMakeOffer.com. Some other selling sites can be sketchy, and even others will charge you a fee on every item you list. But with BuySellMakeOffer.com, you can sell your washer, dryer, cars, or even your home with no per-item fees. And you can use Skype, make a video. You can actually see the person you're buying from, or they can see you, all to better sell your product. Wouldn't you like a feeling of security when you buy or sell? That's why we call it BuySellMakeOffer.com. And you don't have to wait until January 15th to find out what the buzz is all about. Go right now to BuySellMakeOffer.com and type in your email address so you'll know exactly when the fun will begin. The first 30 days are on us, and then it's as little as $7.95 per month to sell up to 50 items. Join the revolution in online selling with BuySellMakeOffer.com.
Good afternoon. It's 3:03. I'm Di Rice with the latest in live, local, national, and international news here on Kcaa 1050 AM and 106.5 FM. One of the Middle East's largest retailers, Landmark Group, has stopped selling Trump-branded products following the Republicans' presidential controversial call to ban Muslims from the United States. The Dubai-based firm signed a deal in February of this year to sell items from the Trump home collection to customers in the UAE, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia through its lifestyle outlets. However, the group said Tuesday it would now remove all products from its shelves. And yesterday morning at approximately 9:54, a male suspect called the Loma Linda University Medical Center and said he was making a bomb and the hospital better be ready. A few minutes later, the same male suspect called Grand Terrace High School and said there was a bomb on the campus. Sheriff detectives had later discovered that a third bomb threat was made at an apartment complex in San Bernardino. The caller's identification showed the same phone number as the two other bomb threats with the name John Davis, though threats were found to be false. 19-year-old John Davis of Phelan was arrested, and authorities found the phone from which the threats were made. And an alleged radicalized Muslim was arrested in a Victorville home on the 14,000 block of La Paz Drive following reports of a man running up and down the street yelling, "I would die and kill for Allah," as he chased his terrified neighbor with a sword during a dispute. The incident occurred just before 5:10 Monday. Victorville deputies responded with a search warrant and arrested Mohammed El Rai after finding evidence that he may be a radicalized Muslim. Inland Empire weather, partly sunny today and tomorrow. Highs tomorrow about 71, overnight lows tonight about 51, and then by Friday we may have some showers in the forecast with a high of about 63. Looking at your drive, stop and go 15 northbound between the 60 and Harupa Street. Southbound side is slow from the 10 to Harupa. And that is the very latest with news, weather, and traffic on the station that leaves no listener behind. KCAA 1050 AM and 106.5 FM.
What have I learned so far? I've learned that there is no one path that's right for everyone. I've learned that without my high school diploma, I can only do so much. My options were limited. I found a free personalized learning program with Learn for Life that is a flexible schedule so I could keep my job while earning my high school diploma. I found new career training opportunities that would jumpstart my future. What have I learned so far? I've learned that I can change my life.
Are you 14 to 19 years old and looking for a free high school diploma program with flexible meeting times? This program allows you to keep your job or important family responsibilities while earning your high school diploma. If you've fallen behind on credits or dropped out of school completely, get back on track with free tutoring, a caring faculty, and one-on-one attention. For more information on how to reach your graduation goal, visit learnforlife.org. That's LEARN, the number 4, LIFE.org. Or enroll today by calling 877-360-LEARN. That's 877-360-LEARN.
A penny for your thoughts? Sorry, ideas are priceless. KCAA.
Greetings. Welcome to What's It All About? This is Dr. Donald Jolly Gabriel on KCAA, 1050 on your AM radio dial and 106.5 on your FM radio dial. Simulcasting, the same signal is going to both stations, one on FM, one on AM. I guess that means we're growing and more people are able to hear us, and that's a wonderful thing. This has been a crazy, crazy week. It has been a wild, out-of-control week. Lots of sorrow in San Bernardino, lots of confusion, all kinds of things going on that are not wonderful. And, you know, it puts us in a situation where we really don't know what's going on. We are in a state of confusion. Our world is sort of a mess. It doesn't seem to me, going through history, that our world is really being appreciated by the people who live in it, and that we're not collectively taking responsibility to build this incredible world, to nurture it, to nurture each other, to make each other the best that we possibly can be. And that's a very, very sad thing. It's very, very sad. And I think the only thing that we can do in this whole mess is to basically do the best we can, the very best we can, to be as good as we can in our own life, to be directed, to look at the responsibilities that we have, and to be responsible, and to live up to what we are supposed to do. We're supposed to make life better for ourselves, for our families, for our communities, our states, our countries, and our world. And I personally don't think we're there yet. I think we have a long way to go, but I sure want to encourage us to try to do the best we can. We do have a caller on the line, so we might as well take this. I hate to make people wait. So let's take this caller, Di. Will you plug him in for us? All right. Greetings, sir.
Greetings. This is Ivan.
I assumed you were a sir. Are you Ivan? Did you say your name is Ivan?
Yes, Ivan Green. I've called before, but I wanted you to maybe elaborate a little bit on vitamin C and cancer.
Vitamin C and cancer. Okay, what else?
And could you also explain what you meant by walking after 1/8 in regards to your sugar level?
Oh, okay, sure. Well, first of all, I want to clarify that I'm not a medical doctor. I have had a lot of experience at medical institutes. I was in charge of the Whitaker Wellness Institute Back to Health program for a number of years, a lot of years actually, and I'm running our research and our hyperbaric program at the South Coast Medical Center, and I'm exposed to a lot of new things that are being done, and I bring that particular knowledge to anybody who wants to hear it. And when we talk about vitamin C is a very interesting vitamin. And I can tell all of you who really want to learn more about it to go on the web and look up vitamin C and see what you can find. Linus Pauling, Dr. Linus, Linus Pauling, Pauling, did an awful lot of work. And his work seems to have been undermined. I don't like to talk about conspiracies. I don't even like to think that there are consortiums or companies or industries that don't want to be threatened and don't want their income lessened because they're entrenched in the system, and something else comes along that may help. May not be the miracle that is going to fix everything, but it may help. And vitamin C is one of those things. Dr. Pauling was a great scientist. He was a friend and associate of my great mentor and the gentleman that I worked with for years, Dr. Julian Whitaker. Julian Whitaker started a health and healing newsletter, a medical newsletter, many, many years ago, and it became the world's largest medical newsletter at one time. I think he had almost 600,000 subscribers. And he really was on the edge of bringing stuff to everybody's attention that helped a lot, that kept people alive longer, that kept them healthier longer. And vitamin C has an awful lot to contribute to our health. One of the problems with a lot of things that we take, a lot of supplements that we take, is our stomach acids are not very friendly for the absorption levels that we really should have with some things that we take orally. So when we take vitamin C, I'm not sure what percentage is absorbed and what isn't, but I know that not a whole lot is absorbed. So we started doing IVs a long time ago. Dr. Pauling was doing it many, many years ago, and many, many physicians around the country now administer vitamin C IV. That means put a small needle in your vein and put it in your blood. And it gets into your body and to every cell of your body. And that is a wonderful thing. And you don't have to worry about it being absorbed through the stomach, through the colon, or this. It just doesn't have to do all that. It doesn't have to go through all that. So there's less of a chance of interference with the thing that you're putting into the body, so that it should be able to do a better job. You don't have a dilution problem or a contamination problem of sorts. So when I talk about vitamin C and my experience with vitamin C and the doctors that I've worked with over the years, it's really IV, high-dose IV vitamin C. And I myself have gone through vitamin C therapy when I've had a little problem here and there. I have taken as much, and I don't recommend that you do this unless you have a problem, but I've taken as much as 100,000 milligrams of vitamin C in a 5-hour drip. In other words, I have to sit for 5 hours in the IV department and let that stuff drip very slowly into my vein. And yes, it does have a positive effect on cancer. But that doesn't mean that it cures cancer. It doesn't mean that it's magic. What it means is that it does help. It helps slow down the replication rate. It helps the body deal with it. It activates the immune system a bit more than it normally is activated. So that's what vitamin C does. And if we do other things, see, here's the thing with treating cancer. We have developed a methodology that involves aggressively trying to kill cancer, trying to stop the replication, the inappropriate cellular replication. And that's well and good if it really would work, but doesn't seem to work without a whole lot of side effects and doesn't seem to really work well anyway. So now there are a lot of different methodologies being used, and it's really about us taking responsibility, number one, for what we put into our body. We shouldn't be eating anything that propagates the growth of the cancer cells, and we shouldn't be putting anything into our body that doesn't assist our body's immune system in doing the job that it has to do. So treating cancer needs to really begin with what we put in our mouth. That is very, very important. And one of the real obvious things, real obvious things, is what do we put in our mouths that lower our immune capacity? In other words, that take our immune soldiers, of which we have millions, and put them to sleep or knock them unconscious or make them tired and unable to function appropriately. There are some things that do that. And what foods, what things do we ingest in our mouth and are absorbed, obviously, into our body that may create a higher growth level of cells that we don't want, whether they're cancer cells or whatever kind of cells? And we certainly know some things. We know that cancer cells really like sugar. They like glucose. Glucose is a great food for cancer. Cancer cells like it, they absorb it, they look for it, and they love it when we eat a lot of sugar or even a little bit of sugar. So what does that tell us? It tells us we shouldn't eat sugar, and it tells us that we should really be careful of what we eat that turns to sugar in our body, that becomes glucose. There are certain foods, certain carb foods that literally turn into sugar. For example, you can eat some pasta, some bread, some things that are high carbs that really convert to sugar very, very quickly in the body. And when that happens, then we are doing what? We're feeding the cancer cells. Now, we want to do that? Do we want to go for chemotherapy? And we want to go for all kinds of surgical procedures? And we want to go for radiation and keep on feeding the cancer cells? That seems pretty dumb to me. But a lot of us are not aware that we contribute to our healing or our lack of healing by our behavior and by what we stuff in our mouth. So I'm hoping that, Ivan, you get what I'm talking about in terms of let's take responsibility for our own bodies. Let's take a look at vitamin C as being something that will help us. It's not magic. I don't think there's anything yet that's magic, but it will help us. So what also will help us? Not eating sugar, eating a lot of fresh vegetables, yes, of course. Doing exercise, keeping our body active, yes, that helps also. Breathing properly, oh my goodness, that is so helpful. I tell people all the time, invest $45 in an oximeter, a small pulse oximeter. It's a little mechanism that measures your oxygen level, and be sure your oxygen level is around 98 all the time. And if it's not, I can teach you breathing exercises. Call in on the radio. I'll teach you some breathing exercises that for the most part can elevate your oxygen level from a low 91, which is not good, to a high 98 in about 7 minutes. So we have a lot of things available, and vitamin C is one of them. There are a lot of other things. I know I'm rambling, but I want to deal with these things in a way that is just more than answering a question. Yeah, vitamin C is cool and should look at it and all that. Well, yeah, it is. It's a cool thing, and we need it, and we should have it every day. And I'm going to share one thing with you. A lot of times we use IV because high-dose vitamin C is kind of a waste because it when you take it into your mouth and into your stomach, if you take 1,000 milligram capsule or pill, you're probably getting a couple hundred, maybe 200, 300, 400. It depends on your acid conditions and what's in your digestive tract. You're going to get maybe half or less of the vitamin C, and probably a lot less. When you take the IV, of course, you get 100% of it. So that's a little bit about vitamin C. Does that deal with that for you?
Yes, that's good. I also wanted you to maybe talk a little bit about, you talked about things that turn to sugar in your system. A lot of people seem to want to eat fruit, thinking it's a real healthy thing, and I always learned that eating fruit is not healthy. It turns to sugar, is one of the worst things you can do.
Well,
for
you know, what you're saying has great validity. It has great validity, and I will talk about that a little bit too, because it is very important. Fruit does have a lot of sugar in it. We need fruit. Fruit is good. It's wonderful for us to have some fruit, but not to overdo it, because sugar in our body is not a good thing. It contributes to something we call insulin resistance. Whenever our body gets a glucose level, a sugar level that's a little too high, our Creator has caused our body to create something called insulin. And when insulin is created, it brings sugar levels down to a safer level, and that's a good thing. But as we abuse sugar, even fruit, as we abuse sugars, what happens is we go into these cycles of raising our sugar level and then immediately creating insulin, which brings our sugar level down. And as we do that over and over and over and over and over and over, and we overdo it, then we develop insulin resistance. The insulin production isn't as effective at bringing the sugar levels down, so the sugar levels stay up, and we develop diabetes. And diabetes is one of the most miserable, insidious diseases that creeps up on us very slowly, that we don't treat very well, because one of the things we do is depend on insulin, depend on metformin, depend on a lot of drugs so that we can eat what we want. And I look at people and I think, my God, what are you doing? You're eating what you want, you're making your tongue feel good, and then you're killing yourself in the process. So you're taking all these drugs to overcome what you could overcome by keeping your mouth shut. So that's where I'm coming from. Now, you brought up something about walking after you eat. I think I said that because we used to make all of our patients at the Whitaker Institute walk after lunch and dinner. And we would take them on a walk. We had a beautiful setting arrangement with the Hilton Hotel where certain rooms were available for our patients, and they had a wonderful walkway around there. And so after dinner and after lunch, we took them for a walk. Now, the reason we did that is because when you eat, even though they ate the most wonderful food, a special caterer makes all the food there, and the glucose levels are very low, and their food that they eat is tasty and wonderful, but it doesn't do the bad things that usually we create by shoving everything we want into our mouth. But still, you have sugar, you have glucose levels. Now, here's the secret, the magic of walking. When you eat, you create high sugar levels in your blood. That's the dangerous thing. That's the thing we don't want. So when you take a nice brisk walk, your muscles need glucose. They need sugar to function well, to keep your body up and moving in your nice brisk walk. And you know where they get it from? Your blood. So you're removing excess glucose from your blood, transferring it to the muscles so the muscles can function better, and you are saving yourself from that whole process of the high glucose reaction. That's why we made our patients walk at the Whitaker Institute. That make sense?
Very good.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
All right.
I'm good about walking after I eat, but I wasn't sure exactly why.
Well,
now I know why.
It's a marvelous thing to do. Keep doing it. And I would do it in the morning, I'd do it at lunch, and I'd do it at dinner. I think it's very helpful. As again, it is not magic because there are very few things that are magic. However, it is very meaningful and important to do. Okay? Did we answer your question sufficiently?
Yes, you sure did. Thank you so much.
Marvelous. God be with you and bless you, and call again sometime.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, what's going on in your engineer's room over there?
Well, we have David from, I believe, England on the phone.
David from England. Holy Moses. Let's talk to him.
All righty.
Hey, David from England. Greetings.
Yeah, good afternoon. Hello, thank you. So I didn't quite catch the discussion topic today. I thought it was about what's it all about as in a philosophical angle. Is this a medical program?
Oh, no, it's in everything. It's everything. What do we want to talk about? What's it all about?
Okay, well, it's difficult when it's off the cuff like that, so I better stick with political things, I guess. I've been trying to work out why. I've been trying to work out logically, numerically, what the paradoxical problem is with being afraid of with what's going on, sort of the whole globally, worldwide, with all this sort of terror and how to think about it all. Because I know there's some sort of flaw in the reasoning, and I finally figured it out. So I'll just continue.
Please share.
So,
I think you should share all of this. It's very important.
There is a paradoxical flaw in it. That's why none of our brains can quite understand it because it's illogical. But basically, the reason why we're all terrified of terrorists is because they can attack anyone, right?
I would agree with that.
But the reason why we can't catch them is because they're so tiny. There are only a small number of them, and they're only going to affect one in, say, every 300,000 Americans, which is less than the normal homicide rate. So actually you should be more scared of murderers. But the terrorists can attack anyone, and we can't catch them because you have to go through every single 330 million Americans to find the thousands of them that there are. So that's why it's paradoxical. If they were bigger, you could find them and you could catch them, and therefore they wouldn't be a problem. But because they're so small and they don't really affect anyone, they can terrify everyone. So there are countries, and because we put it in the media, that's the terror element. So you're arming them with the terror. Practically, they're never going to be able to hurt 1,000 people maybe a year, which is less than the homicide rate. I think about 20 times less than the homicide rate. So you're more likely to be murdered in general. And you're not. When you woke up this morning, you weren't frightened of being murdered by someone. You probably wouldn't go down to the local gangster area, but at least being murdered, you think you might have a hand to play in that, whereas getting killed by a terrorist would be random. But it is extremely low. But there are places where they have had Islamic fundamentalism for years, like Russia. Russia's got Ingushetia, Dagestan, Chechnya, all these places. Well, there's actually terrorists live there in their country, and who are actively fighting the government, and they're targeting anyone as well. But they just don't report it in their media as much. They just say, the ongoing war, blah, blah, blah. And they're not as scared, you see. So maybe we should stop reporting it as much, It's not I know it's terrorism, but it's paradoxical terrorism. Also, I think there might be an underlying guilt. I think that all of us might feel a guilt that, we know that 100,000 people at least in the Middle East areas, innocent 100,000 people, innocent people were killed as a consequence of our actions over the last 10 to 20 years. Which isn't really that many, but we feel as though we might all be a little bit guilty and maybe deserve what we're getting. But that's because we elect our government, and we feel that whatever our government did, we've got a little bit of responsibility for it. But in these Middle Eastern countries, they don't elect their government, so they don't blame us for what our government did because they don't think that's relevant. Because they think, it's nothing to do with the American people. So realistically, I think the paradox is as strong, and I think that's the problem. If we could just get over that sort of angle, and that's why when they ask Obama what you can do about it, he's going, he's got numbers. He's got numbers on his list. He's got spreadsheets, and he can see the amount of people dying every day. I mean, the first year the president is to his population. He's got at the top of his list how many people died every day, and number one will be how many people died in, say, car accidents. Number two will be health reasons. Number three will probably be people who died from poverty-related things. And probably around, the 50th would be people who are being killed by fundamentalism, even under people who got killed through pieces of glass falling on their heads from skyscrapers and stuff. It's going to be low. So that's why no one can do anything about it, because there's nothing actually to do about it, really. It's just got to be really, really, really unlucky.
Well, what you're saying has an awful lot of profound thoughts in it. And yes, it is true that we are overwhelmed and overcome with these things that happen. The media is just totally saturated with what happened in the last week. And some stations, especially the news stations, of course, are just saturated with it to the point of hardly anything else gets on. And that is it's feeding us with an awful lot of anxiety. I know how horrible it can be now. I never experienced it personally until recently because
it was local in your city, wasn't it?
Well, yes, absolutely in my city, and I didn't
know that. You see, I've been ringing up just out of interest. I didn't know anything about this station. So yeah.
Well, I was in the building, the third building away from this when it happened and where it happened, and I was caught up for hours in the traffic jam and all the thing. And unfortunately, my cousin worked there and was in the building, in the meeting, and was killed. So I have a kind of a double whammy, trying to deal with all this.
So again, so for you it's real, whereas for other people this really isn't, and so are you going to carry a pistol from now on? What are you going to do?
I really don't know.
I think you should. I would.
I have been a little bit overwhelmed with the whole thing because I've been involved with helping to counsel some of the people and deal with them, and there's a few people who are quite alone, who don't have much support, and I've been helping them, and it's overwhelming me, and it's exhausting my psyche, believe me. It's really, really tough. And then when you go home and turn on the television and you're overwhelmed with the news, it's even worse.
The other thing you might find as well is because it was abrupt and you had no warning, and some of the people were young, you might forget they're deceased, and you might think, oh, I'm going to go see John today, and then oh yeah, he's died. You will forget every now and then. You'll be like, oh right, yeah. And that's the problem with sudden death, and also in your mind they're still alive. Their memories, you've still got your relationship with them. Your brain can't deal with the fact that they're gone now, and that's quite sad sometimes when you think of someone who's young who's died.
Well, I'm really grateful that you called. I think that we should spark some other people to talk about what we can do in this world, in our towns, what we can do to protect ourselves, what we can do to make things a little better, if that's even possible. But we do have to get out of the mess that we get into emotionally and psychologically, because this can really overwhelm people, can very, very much so overwhelm people. I am going to have to take a break because we are a radio station. If you'd like to stay on the line, we're welcoming you to do so. This is Dr. Donald.
I won't take all your time, but thank you, and to you and your listeners, and everyone just keep the faith, I think.
All right, great. And do call again and say hello, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Take care. Take care. God bless you. All right, we'll be back in about 3 minutes.
Hyperbaric oxygen therapy has only lately begun to gain recognition for treatment of chronic degenerative health problems, including stroke, diabetic ulcers, wound healing, brain injury, and many other disorders. Whenever blood flow and oxygen delivery to vital organs is reduced, healing can potentially be aided with hyperbaric oxygen therapy.
Are you a candidate for hyperbaric oxygen therapy?
Contact Dr. Donald Jolly Gabriel, PhD, for a free consultation and see if this groundbreaking therapy can help you. Mention Kcaa and get a free gift. Call toll-free 1-877-423-7986. That's 1-877-423-7986.
Or go to hyperbaric-solutions.com. That's www.hyperbaric-solutions.com.
Call toll-free right now, 1-877-423-7986. Hyperbaric Oxygen Therapy.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Behind on your payments or barely making minimums? Do your massive interest payments have you running like mad in circles? How long can you keep it up? Stop running. Let the Thomas & Law Group carefully plan your escape. The Thomas & Law Group has proven itself for over 18 solid years, helping thousands of people like you and me reclaim our financial future. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and offices in all 50 states. And the best part? There are no upfront fees at all. You won't pay a dime until the job's done. No upfront costs, no monthly fees, no banking fees. No other law firm does that. I'm a paid spokesperson, not a lawyer, and every case is different. But really, if you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, call the Thomas & Law Group right away for a free, no-obligation consult with a trained legal analyst at 800-460-9790. Call now because you're tired of running in circles. 800-460-9790. 800-460-9790.
Welcome back to What's It All About? This is Dr. Donald Jolly Gabriel on Kcaa, 1050 on your AM radio dial and 106.5 on your FM dial. We had a great call from England. What a very exciting time I had talking with that gentleman, and I'm grateful that he called, and he did give us some insights, which are good. We need insights, and we need creativity, and we need to come up with ideas on how we can make this a better world, a safer world. We need to concentrate, I would think, more on what's really important in our lives, and we need to be more disciplined and more directed. So what else is new? That's what humanity's needed from the beginning, and we don't seem to have much of it. When I was in a monastery years ago, there was a study done, and one of my lecturers, Bishop Fulton Sheen, brought this up about a study being done to determine how many years of war and how many years of peace there were in a 3,000-year period. And I don't know how they figured all this out. I guess somebody was given the assignment, or a group of students or something, to look through history. And war was defined as some major problems between countries, large countries, people trying to take over, people trying to kill and mayhem and murder and whatever. So here's the results, and I was shocked that out of 3,000 years, 329 years were years of peace. 329 years out of 3,000 years. And I was shocked. I don't even remember now. I know we had lots of documents and we had things to read and all kinds of references and the backup stuff for these particular conclusions. I don't know where it is now. I have no clue. I looked at those documents and I had them for about 3 months, and then we went on to other things. But it just shocked me. Out of 3,000 years, they were almost all years of war, years of conflict, years of people having to defend themselves, of countries being overtaken. And I am not sure of all the ramifications of this particular situation, but in history we learned that Persia was most probably Zoroastrian. The Zoroastrian religion seems to be one of the first real religions that took hold in the world. And Zoroastrianism, I don't know a whole lot about it, but it seems like a real peaceful religion. And some groups overtook Persia, and according to my history that I studied, beheaded about 20 million people and forced them to become part of their religion. And that's, I guess, what happened to Persia and why Persia is now Iran. And that's pretty sad, pretty crazy to think that occurred in our history, our world history. It made me very, very sad. I was very, very sad about that. So anyway, we talk about vitamin C, we talk about terrorism, and we talk about diabetes and walking, and those things are all good things. I would like to mention that vitamin C deficiency is linked in medical research with a higher risk of hemorrhagic stroke. You know, there are two major kinds of strokes. One is an ischemic stroke, or a stroke where you have a slowdown or stoppage of blood flow by a blood clot or something that causes that. And a hemorrhage type stroke is one where you have a bleed in the brain. So it now is a medical reality that vitamin C deficiency is linked with a greater risk of having a stroke that is of the bleed variety. So I would think that everybody would want to take some vitamin C, and oral administration is certainly not a bad thing to normally supplement vitamin C. But if you have the need for incredible amounts of vitamin C, I wouldn't take it orally because you might get sick with all that you have to take, and the fact that it isn't absorbed very well anyway. If you take an awful lot of it, it might be a problem. But you can consult with your physician and or your medical professional. Nowadays we have nurse practitioners and physician assistants and people who are well trained, and I think we're going to have more of those because the whole thing about becoming a physician is a whole lot different now than it was 10 years ago, 20, 30, 40 years ago. So we're in a whole new world of reality. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is I think every one of us should have an annual medical exam and look at some of the ways that we can prevent some physical problems, health problems, prevent them. Because to get rid of one is very hard, very difficult. Can you imagine the personal war against cancer that a cancer patient has, or a person who has heart disease? We need to study and understand some of the things that we need for the health of our heart. One thing is that, we look at something called CoQ10, coenzyme Q10, very important for the mitochondria of the muscle, the energy-producing part of our muscles. And the more CoQ10 we have, if we have a deficiency, we're in real trouble. So we need to up it a bit. But the mitochondria of the muscle is certainly a great contributor to the health of muscle. And guess what the heart is? The heart is a muscle. So I think we need to look at asking our physicians, whoever is a part of the team that does our regular checkups, if we're into that, how we can help eliminate or slow down the proximity of the development of heart disease, of cancer, and other major issues that can knock us out, that can just send us to heaven, so to speak. I think that is a responsibility that each and every one of us have. So let's get on that and work it and do things to help ourselves stay healthy. And remember, fuel, is one of the most important things. If you had gasoline, you can ruin your car. You can ruin your car. If you have the wrong kind of oil, you can ruin your car. I drove the other day drove a electric car, Tesla electric car, and I was absolutely amazed. The woman that has that car is a good friend of mine, and she said, "I want you to experience this car in every way you want." I said, "Okay, let's drive it. Let's go for a ride." I was like, I think 3.5 seconds before I hit 60 miles an hour from start. I heard no noise. I was shocked, completely shocked. And I asked her, I said, "Is there a warranty on this car?" And she said, "Yeah, 8 years. And I said, 8-year warranty on this car? And she said, "Yeah, 8 years. And I said, "How can they do it so long?" She said, "Well, there's no transmission fluid, there's no oil, there's no fluids running in the engine, there's nothing to leak, there's no valves to fix and replace, no pumps. It's all electric motor running the car, and it's a lot simpler, and there's a lot less to go wrong." And I thought to myself, I want one of these things, man. I'm going to go look at something called Chevrolet Volt. I'm very anxious to see the Chevrolet Volt. I have a few friends who have one, and I haven't seen them yet, so I want to go look at it and drive it and feel it, and I'd love to have an electric car. So what else do we have to do now? We need to talk about something I think that is very, very important, and that is our sense of spirituality. And I'm going to make a couple of comments about that. A lot of us go to church. We go to church. We're involved in church. Church is an interesting concept. People get together. You know, in Aramaic, which is the original language of the early Christian church, in Aramaic, if you translate the word church, which I think is ita, if you translate that, it means to sort of throw a gathering, throw a party, get people together, to be joyous, to be happy. So that's really what church is about, getting together. And if you indulge in some spirituality, you should be better off. You should be happier. You should have hope. You should be filled with faith, which is very, very important. If we don't have faith, we probably don't have a whole lot of hope. And if we don't have a whole lot of hope, we're going to be somewhat hopeless. And I don't think anybody wants to be hopeless. So I want to look at, for all of us, look at the concept of being involved in some kind of movement where we collectively give some time to developing faith and developing hope, all the while being humble enough to realize we don't know anything about God. We don't know anything. And our entire religiosity is about faith. It's about what we believe. And that means it's about what's possible. That's one of the reasons we really need to respect each other. We need to respect each other. The Catholics need to respect the Baptists. The Baptists need to respect the Seventh-day Adventists. Instead of all the conflict, there's so much conflict between what we believe. Well, you know, what we believe may not be so. That's an interesting thought. One of my theology professors years ago said to me, Donald, one of the things that will keep you humble is to realize that anything you believe may not be so. Because holding on to belief is holding on to possibility. Now, I have a little story I want to tell you before we leave today, and I'll start now. Years ago, I gave a presentation. I used to teach at UCLA in the Extension Division, and we had a seminar on spirituality. And I was told, I was asked to do it, and I agreed. And I was told that there would be a group of atheists there, which there were, and that they would give me a rough time, which they did. But I had a very interesting experience because after this almost full day of talking about spirituality and addressing questions that people had and concerns that they had, it was something that happened to me that really woke me up. And there was a woman there who was very big in the atheist movement, and I was told she'd be there. And she raised her hand as one of the participants at the end of the day, and I acknowledged her. And she was a very well-dressed, very intelligent, quite lovely lady, actually. And she said to me, she said, you know, I've been here all day, and I've heard you talk, and I've learned a great deal. She said, I've learned a great deal from you. She said, but I have something I need to tell you. You seem very talented. You're a good communicator. You seem bright and intelligent. But you are putting your efforts in the wrong direction. And I looked at her as if to ask a question. I was ready to ask a question, but she didn't let me. She already answered it psychically, I guess. She didn't hear me verbally say it, but she said, you are so enthusiastic about your faith. If you put time and energy into being more successful in the material world, you would be far better off. Far better off. Work on making money. Work on aspiring to become more materially successful and more influential. That's what you need. She said, it looks like your faith to you is a crutch. A crutch. And I was devastated when she said that. I thought, how in the world am I going to answer this? So I popped a quick prayer. I just said, hey, God, you know, if you're there, baby, you better tell me what to say. So I said this. I said, thank you very much. You're very perceptible. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate your remarks that you make in my benefit. But I want to tell you something. And there again, I have to remind you, I didn't really know where all this came from. It just came out. I have to remind you that what I believe, I understand may not be so because it's a matter of faith. But I hold on to it. And I believe it. And yes, it is my crutch. And I love my crutch. My crutch helps me go over the curbs, over the precipices. It helps me go over the loose rocks. It helps me when the pavement is wet not to slip because my crutches have rubber tips on them. And I love my crutches. They give me strength. They build my hope. They build my capability of getting around. And I'm going to tell you that if I die right now, if I fall over dead, and there is nothing to my faith, there is no God, there isn't anything at all, I'm not going to know it anyway. But I will have had my crutch all of my life. And my crutch strengthens me, it gives me faith, and it gives me hope. And I said that with great vigor. And this lovely lady was standing up the whole time. She sat down and didn't say a word. And then as I was going down from the stage, which there were stairs in the center of the stage, the woman who put together this program came up to me as I was walking down the steps. She grabbed my hand to help me down the steps and looked into my eyes, and she said, "You know what? She's been to every spiritual thing we've done, and you're the only person that ever shut her up." And I said, "I shut her up? What does that mean?" She looked at you and sat down. So it must have been somewhat meaningful to her. But it sure was meaningful to me because those words helped me understand how important it is to me personally to have my belief system, which is very important to my life, to everything I do. And I want everybody to take that thought and consider building your own set of crutches and understanding that those crutches can be useful in your life. So that's my story. Do you have anything, Lady Di, to talk about or say about?
Oh, no, just we still have our Music Changing Lives toy drive going on. And I thank you so much. And you said your partner donated the art gift?
Yes, the young man that works for me brought that in and gave it to me and said to bring it because he had to go to the dentist today.
Okay, and who is that?
Alan.
That's Alan. Oh, Alan, yeah.
Alan Knock, yes.
Yeah.
Alan Knock, I think, is that an Irish name? Sounds like it.
I have no idea.
Yeah, N-O-C-H.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
N-O-C-H. Mm-hmm. Alan Knock. So tell us about this drive. I want to do more. I like to help kids.
I would like to do more, too. I would like to get that box filled. And we have a ways to go, but we did get a few donations over the weekend, and then what you and Alan brought in today. And
we'll go on a drive. How much time do we have?
Oh, right now?
Yeah, I mean, how much time? I can go at our medical center and scarf up some presents from people.
Yeah. Oh, we have till the week of Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 22nd or 23rd, something like that.
Well, we got to hustle.
Yeah, I know. I've walked the mall. I've made some flyers. The only thing that I haven't done that I probably should do is, we have a school here at the mall.
I want to know about that. Tell me about that school.
It's a charter school. I believe it's called Hardy Brown Prep College. And I know that, they're in the bottom part of the, outside the parking structure here.
Right.
And they take up several office spaces. And I think they serve, I want to say I think it's just elementary. I don't know if elementary in San Bernardino goes just to 6th grade or if it goes all the way up to 7th. I have no idea. But
we should bring some of them in and interview them sometime.
Oh, they're adorable. They come by. They do come by and they knock on the glass and they smile and they wave and they're all in their little uniforms and they're so cute.
Well, we need to do it. Let's get them in here.
Okay.
And that man from England, how does he hear us?
I believe it all started when the shootings happened last week. It was kind of ironic. CNN and the BBC and everybody was calling us. I guess because we're the closest news station to the incident.
That's right. And when I was here, BBC was doing the broadcasting of the news. I don't know how they did all that, but it was wild.
Yeah, and they were calling, they were interviewing Mark and myself, and it was crazy because we were thinking, well, I was thinking anyway, you can get this news anywhere, but I guess they wanted the local slant from the local radio station right down the street from where it happened because we were just 2.3 miles away.
Well, I know, and I went down there. I had to go to Staples. And I went down East Street, and I didn't know what commotion was going on. I knew the commotion was somewhere, but I went down East Street to Hospitality Lane, and down Hospitality Lane over to Staples, and I got caught in that melee. It was unbelievable. The traffic was horrible, and I didn't know what was going on, of course.
Yeah, I had seen, right before I went to do the news, I had seen on our traffic report that there were 12 fatalities there. Now, they quickly took that down and then downgraded the fatality to 3 and then later upgraded it back to 14. But that's how I first found out about it. But they didn't mention details, but then Mark and Brandon were running in here giving me details as I was doing the news. So it was kind of, it was mind-blowing. It was exhausting. It really was. And just devastating.
Horribly devastating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I heard that the county workers were going back to work today, but I guess they still haven't actually opened up the actual building for the Inland Regional Center employees. Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't. I know how important that is. I used to work with them years ago. I helped to form a couple of different charitable counseling projects and alcohol rehab programs here, and they used to work with us a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of those people are still there, and I know 2 of them are just totally devastated. They don't want to go there anymore.
Yeah, that would be so hard because how do you get past that?
Well, supposedly time is one thing that, and then occupying yourself with a lot of good thoughts, but it can be very damaging for a long time.
Yeah, I would imagine just going past that room, entering the building. I mean, how can you?
Oh, every time you go in there, it's. Every time I go into St. Bernardine's Hospital, I relive my mother's death.
Yeah.
Every time. And I go in other hospitals, I relive people's death that I was standing there while they were dying. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to get away from that.
Yeah.
Not gonna get away from that.
I would probably look for a transfer of something somewhere. Because that's got to be one of the most difficult things to do.
Amen. It's got to be. By the way, I promised to wave at and say hello to Julie and Scott. So I'm waving at Julie and Scott in North Carolina and saying hello. If anybody wants me to wave at them, let me know. Also, we've got another dinner that we're raffling off. So next week I'm going to announce that. And you guys can call in the number and you'll be put in the basket to see if you win a dinner for 2 at the Castaways restaurant, which is one of the nicest restaurants. Not only has great quality food, but it has the greatest view in the Inland Empire. So we're happy to do that. And aren't we about ready to...
Yeah, well, what about, do you want to plug your benefit fundraiser thing coming up in Chino Hills?
You know, in Chino Hills, we're going to have a great party on the 20th of December for the Foothill AIDS Project. And it is a project that serves a lot of women, a lot of children who are affected by the AIDS epidemic. And if anybody wants to call in the show next week, we can tell you how to get there and how to do it. It's only $10, and it's a great dinner that we're going to have, a catered dinner. It'll be wonderful. So anyway, take care. God bless everybody. This is Dr. Donald Jolly Gabriel signing off on KCAA 1050 on your AM radio dial. See you next week.
This is KCAA Loma Linda. CNBC News is next. Brought to you by BuySellMakeOffer.com.
Today.
I'm Tom Busby, CNBC Radio. The middle class is no longer the majority in the U.S. A new study by the Pew Research Center says the rapid growth of upper-income households, along with a boom in less educated, low-wage earners, has driven the middle-class population of the U.S., those earning